Imagine you found your 50-year-old dad making out with one of your college classmates. Well, here's how that happened to me. 1 year ago, my dad came to my school and put up flyers. He said he wanted to give private Spanish lessons and make some extra money. 6 people showed interest and called him up, but he only chose Vicky, a really good-looking girl who always wore super revealing clothes. They were supposed to study inside the college library, but I found them making out at my home. I said, "What the hell are you two doing?" "Oh, hey, sweetie. Vicky told me she turned 18 last week, so I threw her a small birthday party." "Yeah, and your dad bought me a $2,000 necklace as a gift. Isn't that awesome?" That was the moment I realized my dad was a creep. Instead of dating a woman his age, he'd rather spend all of his money to date a younger girl. It was disgusting, but Vicky seemed proud of it. One time she pointed at me in school and said, "Yeah, I'm dating her dad. He bought me this gold necklace for my birthday." Why couldn't she shut up? Soon everyone knew about Vicky's relationship with my 50-year-old dad. That's why my classmates started teasing me nonstop. They told me, "You better stay away from your dad. He likes girls your age." It was so embarrassing. And when I got home, Vicky asked me, "If I marry your dad someday, will you call me stepmom?" "Oh, that would be hilarious. You'd be the hottest stepmom in the world." They started laughing like it was funny, but I finally lost it. "Dad, if you don't break up with her, I'm gonna tell everyone at your work that you're dating a teenager." "Oh, relax. Vicky is an adult and legally allowed to do whatever she wants. And trust me, she wants your daddy." "That's right, but maybe you are my daddy now." They started kissing, and I swore myself to never call my dad daddy again. The following week, my dad rented himself a luxury sports car. He used it to drive Vicky to college and show off. But once Vicky was gone, I saw him hitting on other girls. He said, "Hey, you girl, what's up?" Do I know you?" "Well, I thought you might want to jump in my Lambo and get some brunch." "Oh my God, you're like 50 years old. Get away from me, you creep." It was hilarious to see my dad get rejected. Someone had finally put him in his place. I really thought he had learned his lesson, but when I got home, I found him and Vicky sitting in a brand new jacuzzi right in our front yard. I said, "Dad, all the neighbors can see you with that floozy. It's embarrassing." "Oh, sweetie, let me show off my girlfriend a bit. She's too hot to be locked inside." Meanwhile, Vicky smirked at me. There was nothing she enjoyed more than seeing me suffer. Just the day before, she had tried to convince my dad to throw me out. She said, "Let her move into a college dorm so we can be as loud as we want at night." Luckily, my dad let me stay, but the next day I heard Vicky scream, "Thank you! Thank you!" I was curious and asked, "What's going on?" "Your dad said he'll buy me a boob job because I'm such a good girlfriend." Oh God, my dad thought he was so smart by turning Vicky into a bombshell. But after she got her breast enhancement, guys just couldn't take their eyes off her anymore, and my dad hated it. He became super possessive and forbid her from playing college volleyball. He said he didn't want other men to watch her jump around like a bimbo. That's why Vicky started spending all her time on our couch watching Netflix. My dad spoiled her nonstop, but after a few months, she had gotten a bit fat. My dad didn't like it and said, "Hey, Vicky, why don't you lose some weight?" "Huh? First you make me stop playing volleyball, and now you complain that I'm fat?" No, that's not what I meant. I think you are perfect the way you are." But Vicky took my dad's criticism to heart and managed to lose the weight in less than 3 months. Afterwards, she said, "Okay, I got thin for you. Now I want something in return. I want you to pay off my college debt." I guess my dad knew he had no other choice if he wanted to keep Vicky as his girlfriend. So he said, "Okay, sure, I think I can do that." "Oh, really? Wow, I love you so much." Then they made out again. It was all so disturbing, especially because my dad had never even thought about paying for my college tuition, even though I'm his daughter. Meanwhile, Vicky looked like a bombshell again, and this time she went to lots of college parties. "Don't worry," she said. "I'll just hang out with some friends. You know you can trust me." But my dad followed her one night and must have caught her cheating. He came home crying and said, "I've paid for her college and she still betrayed me. It's so unfair." Oh, Dad, you knew exactly what kind of girl she is. I thought he would finally dump her, but the opposite happened. He became so afraid of losing Vicky that he started doing anything he could to keep her. Meanwhile, Vicky was perfectly aware of that and exploited my dad's neediness. She told him, "If you really love me, prove it by buying me an apartment." Well, and that's the story of how my dad got $100,000 into debt just to buy some 18-year-old bimbo a studio apartment. He probably thought he would marry her someday, but just 1 week later, Vicky dumped my dad via text. It didn't surprise me at all, but my dad cried for weeks nonstop. He had lost everything. But then out of nowhere, he said, "I've reevaluated my life. I hate my current job as a salesman. Instead, I want to become a high school teacher and help teenagers." I hoped he was kidding, but nope. Right now, he is taking night classes to become a teacher, which means that soon he'll teach teenage girls and boys at some high school. I have a very bad feeling about this whole thing. What a creep.
Hey, my name is John, and I had a pretty normal upbringing. But everything changed when I turned 18. I was applying to college when I discovered that my social security number didn't match my name. I thought it was just a mistake and asked my school counselor for help. But he said that there might be another explanation. He went on to check my name in the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children database. And that's when we discovered that I'd been listed as missing for 15 years. I was so confused. I mean, this couldn't be true. Or, because I looked just like my dad, I knew we were related. And although my mom wasn't around, he had always told me that she had left us after giving birth to me. While I went back home, my school counselor contacted the FBI without telling me. They immediately arrived at our home to interview me and to arrest my dad. It was horrible to see him being taken away in handcuffs. And the next day, they introduced me to my mom. She was crying as she took me into her arms, calling me her baby and going on about how much she had missed me. She even told me we would never be separated again. But I had no clue who this woman was. It was just awkward. I wanted my mom to be happy, though, so we moved in together, and she told me how and why my dad had stolen me from her. Apparently, my parents split up when I was 3 years old, and they couldn't agree who should have custody of me. One day, when my dad picked me up after school, he drove us from Alabama to Ohio to start a new life, and my mom never saw me again. She told me how painful it was for her all those years, wondering where I was and if I was okay. At first, I couldn't believe that my dad had taken me away from my mother. It was such a cruel thing to do. But I still can't hate my dad. He raised me well. He always made sure I studied hard in school, which is why I'm one of the top students. And that's also why, when it was time for him to be sentenced, I said I didn't want him to go to jail, because he had taken such great care of me. The judge agreed that my dad was a good father, but stealing a child is still a serious offense. So now my dad's serving a 4-year prison sentence. I went to visit him recently, and he told me his version of why he had stolen me from my mother. He said that my mom had threatened to tell the police that he was beating me. So if he hadn't taken me away from her, my mom would have made sure he never saw me again. But of course, my mom says that none of that is true, and to be honest, I don't know who to believe. But I do know I forgive my dad. Currently, I'm living with my mom, and although I love her, it's weird because it still feels like she's a complete stranger. Don't get me wrong, I'm trying my best to build a relationship with her, but I don't think I'll ever love her the way I love my dad. Because he is the reason I became a responsible and honest person. Please let me know in the comments how you would handle this situation. Would you forgive your dad for stealing you from your mom? Thanks for listening, and please subscribe to this channel.